Hello everyone, my name is Becca and welcome to Yellow Cat Studios. I am here today with another edition of my Sewing Basics series. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about different types of fasteners and show you how to sew on a button. Specifically a button that does not have the extra bit on the bottom to give it that height. First, I'm going to talk about zippers. I've got a couple different ones here. First one is a lightweight synthetic coil closed end zipper. So basically what that means, this is a regular zipper. It's not hidden, so when it's on a garment, you will see the zipper teeth, which are the part in the middle that hold the zipper together. And on this one, they are synthetic. You will see metal ones as well. I think synthetic is a lot more common because it's lighter. And this one is closed end. So what that means is it's not going to come apart at the end. You can get separating zippers, which are the ones that you'll see on jackets. Alternatively, you can have an invisible zipper. This is one where when it's on a garment, it is completely hidden by the fabric. You do not see the zipper teeth. These ones, technically you can put them on without an invisible zipper foot, which I used to do. However, I recently invested in an invisible zipper foot for my machine, and it is the best thing I've ever purchased. I tend to use invisible zippers for my costumes, and that just makes it a whole lot easier to put it on. This one is also a closed end one, but apparently you can get opening invisible zippers, or separating invisible zippers, which I am very excited to try at some point. And just to show you the difference between a regular zipper and an invisible zipper on a garment, this one is hidden by a little placard, but this is a regular zipper. If I didn't have this covering here, you would see the zipper and see the zipper teeth, versus an invisible zipper where it is completely hidden and looks like it's just part of the side seam here. Next thing I wanted to talk about are hook and eye closures. So you've got two pieces to these, and they just hook together. Ooh, if I can hold it. It's a lot easier to do when they're actually on a piece of fabric. Okay. Hook together like that. You will see these on a lot of dresses or skirts at the top of where the zipper is. Just to give a little extra support and to make it easier to zip things up. I wouldn't say they're very common as closures on their own. They're more of an added thing for support or for smaller details. And you would just sew in those two little loops there on either piece, and just sew it to the fabric. So here you can see at the top of this dress, this is the zipper on the side seam, and it has the hook and eye up on top just to help hold that in place and make it easier to zip up when you're wearing it. Similar idea to the hook and eye ones, you can have bar sets, so they just kind of loop in together. I see these a lot on like dress pants. Another really common one are snaps. I don't currently have any, so I'll just pop up a picture here. Similar to the hook and eye, there's little holes in them that you sew through to attach them to your fabric. And they just snap together, as the name says. Another one that I wanted to talk about are the eyelets or grommets. These are really good for anything that you're going to be lacing up. So corsets, dresses with lace-up backs, bracers that you want to lace up. You do need a tool to attach these. I was a little intimidated to try them at first, but I love them now. So I don't have the like pliers that you can get to attach these. I just have the one where I have to use a hammer. So it comes with a little, I don't even know what you would call this, thing to facilitate attaching. So this is the base. You put one side of the grommet on there, put your fabric, it has to have a hole in it, in there, sandwich the other piece, which is slightly different shape. On top, you take this, it's got a little groove that the eyelet fits into, and then hammer it. And then you have a really sturdy eyelet for your lacing. Okay, last but not least, buttons. So I don't actually use buttons a whole lot. I don't like making buttonholes. And I just don't really have a need for buttons with the loops. But it's good to know how to do a button, especially if you have a button-up shirt that loses a button. Now, there are lots of different types of buttons. You're gonna have different shapes, different numbers of holes, different colors, patterns, everything. Another thing that you will see a difference in is this piece at the bottom. So this button doesn't have any holes on it, and it has a shank on the bottom, which is where you would attach it to the fabric. This button with holes does not. So what that means is when you sew it to the fabric, it's going to be flush unless you add some extra thread underneath. So that's what I'm going to show you how to do. And when sewing buttons on, you can do different patterns with your thread. I'm just going to show you basic crossed thread and adding like a faux shank to the bottom. You don't necessarily have to do this depending on the fabric and the fit that you're looking for with the buttons, but this makes it so that your buttonhole can actually go under the button and not just around the button, if that makes sense. Basically, if it's too flush to your fabric, you're not going to be able to put the buttonhole around it and have it actually function. All right, to sew the button on, I'm going to come up from the bottom of my fabric, pull my thread all the way through, come up through one of the holes. For this one, because I'm crossing it, I'm going to go down. You can't see that. I'm going to go across to this hole and go down. Now, I'm not going to pull this all the way tight. If you need to, you can put like a toothpick or something underneath your button so that it's not too flush with the fabric. I'm just going to hold it because I'm only using a small piece of fabric. Obviously, on a garment or something, this might not be an option. Next, I'm going to come back up through the bottom of my fabric, up through one of the other holes that I've not gone through yet. Pull my thread through, make sure it's not too tight. Underneath the button, I am making the thread on top of the button flush. And now I'm just going to go across to the opposite one and go down. So now you can see that I have a cross in my thread there. Now you can do this a few times if you're worried about the security of the button. For these purposes, I am just going to do it once. Now, I'm going to come back up through my fabric, but not through the button. So I'm just coming up underneath the button, and then I'm going to take my thread and do a few loops. So now you can see that my button is not flush to the fabric, but the thread is now tight. So after I've done, I did not count how many, just a good few loops, I'm going to come back down through my fabric and then finish off my stitch. I usually do this 2 or 3 times. Come on. And now my button is attached and not flush to my fabric. So if I were to have a buttonhole, just make a little one. It would easily go onto my button just like that. And it has room, it's completely underneath my button, so that is not going anywhere. And now that I have a buttonhole, you can hand sew your buttonholes on a felt like this. You wouldn't need to, because it's not gonna fray. But basically all you would do is take your needle and thread and tie it off first. That would help. Take your needle and thread and do some sort of overlock stitch, whip stitch. You could probably even get away with a blanket stitch for this. And just go all the way along the edge of the buttonhole, and that's how you would hand do it. You can also get a buttonhole attachment for a sewing machine, which would make it a lot easier. There are also like the button and loop ones that you can do if you're doing like the ones that you see on a wedding dress, like this. Alright, so that is it for my overview of a few types of fasteners. If there's any you'd like me to go into more detail about, please let me know. But I hope this was a good little overview for you guys. I have made a few of these videos, so you can check out the playlist that I have of my Sewing Basics series, and feel free to subscribe for more sewing content, cosplay content, nerdy stuff. But yes, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!